Nearly made it. All right, there we go.
Hello.
I realized my lights weren't on with the as the intro was playing, and I was thinking, no, I got to get them working. So just in time. Hello, everyone.
Nice.
Welcome to another awesome Supabase Happy Hour, where we get to spend the happiest hour or the happiest 2 hours of our week building some fun stuff with Supabase. So my name's Jon Meyers. I'm a developer advocate from Supabase. Who are you guys?
I'm Tyler. I'm also the developer advocate at Supabase. And on to you, Alaister.
And finally, I'm Alaister. I'm still not a developer advocate, still on the front end team usually, but
Still trying.
sneaking on the on the streams. It's great, yeah.
Awesome. Let me just put this over here. Once again, Alaister has shortened our intro and taken away all my preparation time, so I can't, actually arrange all of my screens and get ready to actually stream after we've gone live. So now I just need to do it on the stream. It's fine. Where is everyone coming to us from in the chat? Looks like we've got a few people already jumping in. We've got Andrew, who was 1 minute early. It's too early.
Andrew should introduce himself as, hi, I'm a developer advocate from Supabase.
Andrew is also a developer advocate from Supabase, but should definitely be asleep because it's definitely the middle of the night.
2 a.m. or something, isn't
2 a.m.
it?
Yeah. I guess that's, as we've worked out on previous streams, that's developer happy hour right there. 2 a.m.
Yeah.
Cookify is back. Awesome to see you again.
Welcome back.
Nice.
We got a hello with a thumbs up and a smiley face. Crixie Dev, I don't know if we've seen you before, whether you've been saying hi in the chat, but welcome to the stream. Where are you coming to us from? Whereabouts in the world are you, and what ungodly hour is it right now? Hiroshi is joining us again, so I believe Hiroshi is in Japan, in Tokyo.
I think, yeah,
right next
wonderful.
to right next to Tyler.
I wish it was right next to me. I'm not allowed in.
One day. So what is the Supabase Happy Hour? The Supabase Happy Hour is where we just build fun stuff with Supabase, and this is episode 13, or
season 2, episode 3.
I think
right?
4. I think, yeah.
The time warp is real.
The reason we're saying season 2 is this is our second example application that we're going through. So we started off with building a multi-platform application. And so we built a real-time chat application with one Supabase backend that could supply the data for 2 different front ends. So one in Next.js and then the other in Flutter, which was really awesome. Recommend you go check out that series and go back and watch all 12 hours or whatever, 16 hours of us building that. That was a lot of fun. And then this is season 2, where we are building a SaaS application. And this time we've chosen Remix, which is fun. And we have so far been spending a bit of time just getting everything set up on the Supabase side, building just a basic schema. So the app that we're SaaSifying is journal entries. So you can write a journal entry with, ideally we're going to get to like different bits of content, right? So you can put like maybe images in there.
Well, that's a good idea. We can show off storage a bit.
Yeah.
It'll be nice to cover storage for sure.
But then the idea of us SaaSifying it is having these different payment tiers where we can basically unlock different features for people paying different amounts of money. So at the end of this stream, we're planning to have like a fully functioning in production app that you could basically fork and go and build your own SaaS empire. So yeah, it's a very exciting series. It's fun building out real things that can make real money.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, we're starting our next $1 million startup idea right here.
that's
$1 billion
right.
startup idea.
Paid
Yeah.
for by Supabase.
Yep.
$1 billion per month idea, because this is our SaaS app. So if you're not aware of like what the difference is between e-commerce and SaaS platforms, e-commerce is like where you're allowing people to buy individual items or whatever, or like put together a shopping cart and process one transaction. And then a SaaS app allows you to take recurring payments. So we can charge people monthly and have those different payment tiers for how much cool stuff they want to be able to do on our app, how many journal entries they want to be able to put in. So I have not pulled up all these links that I was going to pull up, but we can just step through them live.
Nice.
All right. Sharing the screen. So the first one is City.js Singapore. So this is a conference that our friend, our other developer advocate, that's everyone in the developer advocacy team plus Alaister, our other developer advocate has put together, he's been organizing part of it, right? And
He's been
then he will
helping
also
out,
be
yeah.
emceeing
Yeah,
on the
And
day.
he's been helping a lot.
Supabase, I think, is actually a sponsor now. We were announced as a
Gold
sponsor.
sponsor, I
Yes.
think. If
A
you,
gold,
gold
wow, look at
sponsor.
that.
I think there's a sponsor link at the top. Yeah,
Platinum,
there's
There we are.
gold.
there is that logo. Yeah, so along with all of these other awesome companies, very cool. And so on the 29th of July, which is next week, on Friday, conference will be happening. And where will the two of you be?
We will
We
be
will be right
right
there.
there.
Yeah,
You'll be
physically
there live. So
in Singapore. Yeah.
yeah, if you have queries, any problems that you're having with your Supabase database, just go and hassle these guys in person by going to the City.js Conf. You can join in person if you're in Singapore or planning to be in Singapore or want to go to Singapore next week. And then it's also running online. So head on over to this site, go and grab a ticket and see all the awesome talks. There are a few awesome Supabase talks that will be happening, as well as just all of these superstars like Swix. I heard a rumor that maybe Evan New is going to be dropping by. So yeah,
Oh.
definitely a good one to check out. The next
Yeah,
thing,
plenty of Supabase content.
yeah, plenty of.
It's
Supabase.
funny,
Be a good one.
Phil Nash there on the another speaker from Twilio. He
Yeah.
was at the meetup last night.
I wonder if you guys
Oh.
will be on the same flight from Melbourne up to
I doubt it.
Singapore.
I'm sure he'll be going up a bit sooner. I've actually, Tyler and I have snuck our way into the speakers dinner, before
Ooh.
speakers and sponsors, but I land like half an hour before the dinner's supposed to start. So I don't think it's the optimal flight for the speakers. But I'm gonna show up late. It'll be good.
Nice.
It'll be fun.
What they haven't told you is that in order to pay for your dinner, you actually do need to do a talk. So Alaister will be putting together a impromptu talk
on the fly.
Excellent. The next thing that has been happening this week is the how to use text search to perform full text search, which is our new Supabase tip. By whom?
By LBB. Yeah, I think it's a pretty nice one.
Yeah, I think 947 other people think it's a nice one as well.
Yeah, since Supabase is using Postgres behind the scenes, there's a function called text search that utilizes the full text search feature of Postgres. So Supabase is exposing that feature in a very easily accessible format. So this video goes into like how you can use that text search function to basically perform a full text search on your front-end application.
Very cool. Yeah, these Supabase tips videos have just been so good. It's been so enjoyable. I feel like I keep learning something new every week. Yeah, it's very cool.
Nice.
Good job.
Yeah.
There should be a new one coming up today as well. So
awesome. Any hints on what the new one might be?
Yeah, so this one's gonna be from Andrew, and if Andrew, you're still in the comments, maybe you can add in more. But yeah, he covered one-to-many relation, how you can create one-to-many relationship on the Supabase dashboard last week or 2 weeks ago. So he'll be digging that even further to how you can retrieve those one-to-many relationship using the JavaScript client.
Awesome. Very cool. The next one, I actually might jump into this once we get started, but we have actually had some PRs for our Happy Days app, which is very exciting to see. We will definitely be hitting these people up with some swag, and if you have any other ideas for our SaaS app that you'd like to contribute, we would absolutely love to have PRs from you. So yeah, anyone who submits a PR gets a shout out at the top of the episode, and we'll kind of step through the PR and then hopefully merge it if it's if there's nothing, if it's not just like setting up a Bitcoin miner or something on our site. As long as it looks legit, then we will merge that in and send you some swag. So yeah, thank you so much to these two, which we will go through soon. Before we get into it, I just wanted to shout out one more thing. 404. This week, I can't spell. This week, I launched a new podcast called The Navbar. So if you go onto any, maybe not any platform, I think Google's still having some issues adding it to their podcast feed. But every other platform here, Amazon, Stitcher, Spotify, all of those, go and search The Navbar and listen to me and Simon, who was previously a developer advocate at Tailwind. So if we have any Tailwind questions, I now have a direct contact to hassle about. But yeah, come and check out our new podcast. The first episode just launched, where we talk about how to record better videos. So kind of put together a collection of tips and tricks that we have developed over the last year or a couple of years of being developer advocates and kind of doing content creation full time.
Yeah, I listened to the first one on Spotify, and I'll, as an completely unbiased, judge, it was great. Loved it.
I listened to it as well.
Awesome.
It's amazing.
Thank you. We'll have to have you guys on sometime. We'll just do a happy hour. Nice. We'll just merge the two. And every week you can have 2 podcasts and 2 happy hour streams. Creative Black in the comments is saying, I finally caught the stream. Let's go.
Let's go. Yeah.
Elbow cough, which I like a lot. Can totally relate, because I don't know if you can hear it in my voice, but definitely the beginnings of some kind of sickness again, some kind of daycare center bug that seems to just be constant in our household at the moment. And we have Zul saying, hello, super. Welcome to the stream. Thanks for joining us. And Jonathan saying, yo. Jonathan is very close to my name. My name is Jonathan with an O, and you're Jonathan with an A. So that's how we're going to distinguish. Also, one of us is talking on the live stream and one of us is just commenting in the comments. So maybe we'll be able to tell the difference. All right. We have this Happy Days app. Alaister, do you want to tell us what is our Happy Days app?
Well, the Happy Days app, it's essentially a very expensive journaling app. That's what we're going for. Because of the unique selling point is obviously the minimalistic design. And by minimalistic, I mean non-existent design. But that's all right. But it is essentially just a fancy journaling app with where you can assign a date to your entries to help you remember stuff. Or more specifically, help me remember stuff, because my memory is absolutely shocking. But we have had a couple of people, I think Tyler put a call out. He said, please style the login button. And now we've had 2 PRs to style the login button, which we're very happy with. We're going to go through both of them, I think.
It's amazing.
Yeah. So
and then,
if I pull up Tyler's, sorry, keep going.
I was pretty much done anyway, so
Okay,
good timing.
excellent. I was just going to pull up this tweet, which was another thing that I was planning to have ready to go. But yeah, nope, that's us. We're going live right now.
A few more, I think.
You're too
I like
active.
all of the,
right there.
the ads for, like the Australian government and stuff.
Yeah, that's right.
Really giving away where we are.
All my ads. Yeah, so Tyler tweeted that yeah, we are looking for contributions to help make our login page look a little bit nicer. And then yeah, we had 2 awesome contributions. So we'll have to see whether they actually like conflict and collide. But we can go through both of them regardless, because yeah, it's awesome that people are helping us out with this app. So Priley has sent us through.
Have you ever do you use the GitHub CLI?
I do. Are you going to show me a cooler way to
I'm
do
going to
this?
show you the coolest thing. I now use it like every day in my actual
this
job,
will be nice.
because it makes it so easy to actually check out PRs from other people's like branches on their own repos when they forked it. So maybe let's
I always
look at
struggle
the first
a lot
one.
with that.
Yeah, it's a pain. But we've got PR number 3 and PR number 4. So we're here. So you just do GH for GitHub, and then you do PR for pull request. Checkout, and then 3. So I don't know if you've used this before, but 3 is the ID. Yeah, number 3 there. So this is behind the scenes is going to go over to the other person's repo because they've forked it, grab the correct branch, and sync it up with your local one here. It's super nice. I really
now, if
like
I open
it.
this up in VS Code,
and maybe start the app as well, so we can actually see, because I think most of the changes we're asking for from people to contribute are visual changes, because we're trying to spend our time on functionality. So please, if you see something you don't like the look of in the app, and you got a little bit of Tailwind, or want to learn Tailwind even, where
yeah, sure.
You're guaranteed to do something better than what we've done.
I don't know.
Another thing that would be nice.
If people are not familiar with our awesome previous styling, if you don't help us out, then what we will end up with will look something like... Oh, I post too much as well. Yeah, so we'll end up with something like this. This is
look at that beautiful UI.
Yeah,
I don't think we can beat that, to be honest.
I love that the button isn't even vertically centered. We tried.
It's another nice contribution that'll be good is maybe organize the README a bit, because there's no like instruction. There's not much of instructions on the README at the moment. So I guess it has like this code snippet to how to get started, how to start it locally and stuff. But it'll be nice to like have a better README for beginners as well, which might be on its own be a pull request, I think. So
nice.
Yeah,
definitely.
I just realized that people probably won't even be able to run it locally anyway, because we haven't given them the environment variables for our Supabase.
It was actually in there. I tried it and
whoops.
Yeah.
Did we mean to do that?
Let's say we meant to do it, so you can easily contribute.
Yeah.
That's why we did it.
Makes it easier.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So how do we do
browser?
Well, I guess we're running the let me move this over here. I guess we are...
Is it 87 or something? Yeah.
Good call.
Oh, nice. Okay.
That is a nice button.
Yeah.
It's a nice button. Let's have a look. So this is our login page. Nice. So we've got some lovely, some gray color, a nice hover to it. Ooh, much nicer. We've got a proper GitHub logo. So we're not just saying log in, but giving the user a little bit more confidence that if they click this button, they're going to go through that authentication flow with GitHub. This is looking very nice. Let me just pull up the PR. I think it was just the login page. Yep. So this login page, very nice. Does the other one also?
Well, let's have a look.
Let's have a look. Yeah.
PR
Ooh.
checkout 4.
Is it really that easy?
It's really that easy. That's why I love it so much. It's just
we can get that. There we go.
The GitHub.
And when you want to go back
changer.
to the main, and what do you do when you want to go back to the main branch? Do you just check out main branch?
Master. Yeah, main, check out main, whatever you got going.
That's nice.
I think maybe
Tailwind's generating some stuff, so maybe just blow it away.
On. Let's try this one again.
Gotta love those generated files.
Should we be excluding those from the? Let's not worry.
Perhaps.
It's fine.
We're not worrying about it.
hey, PR's welcome. Oh, very nice. Okay, so this one we've centered it. Similar idea with that's a good call, having a nice GitHub logo. And yeah, people are liking this this color scheme of the darker button with the white text.
Well, it's the GitHub black button, isn't it?
Ah, fancy. Sorry, this one. So
maybe we can take them both, because this one cleans up the page. I think I like the button from this one a little better because it's got that hover state and everything.
Yeah.
But then the other one has moved the button into like a nicer position.
Yeah.
So,
do you think they'll merge nicely?
They will not merge nicely. But
although some of this is in the app.css file, some of this like centering and 100 VH, setting the min height.
The app.css we can just overwrite, to be honest.
Right.
I'm just trying to think which one will be easier to merge first. What do you reckon, Tyler? 3 or 4?
I don't know. Would it make a difference? I feel like it'll be the same at the end.
Yeah, probably will be the same.
I reckon we merge the number 4 first because it has more.
Okay.
Sure.
And then number 3, we can just fix up the small merge conflict that will just be on that actual button. What do you reckon?
Yep.
Let's do it. We're going to have to review the changes and give them an approval.
Hey, can we do any of this from...
Probably, but this, I find, is the GitHub UI is the easy spot to do it.
All right. So we've got some Tailwind classes, some CS. Yeah, this looks good. The classic looks good to me.
Maybe a thank you as well, if they're not watching now.
Thank you so much. We will hit you up with swag.
Nice.
We'll approve that one, and then we can merge it in. And that's how easy open source is. It's done.
Nice.
Now
this is how we build Supabase. We just go through the open PRs and slowly just merge them, and then Supabase happens. Yeah. So then we have this one. So now, if I were to, do I check out main again? Oh no, that's not a PR. What am I doing?
Would it be doable from the GitHub?
Let's see what GitHub says. Yeah. Let's have a look.
Okay. Oh, you mean just from like when we're merging in?
Yeah, if you open the PR, there's a resolve
conflicts.
And then it might let us resolve them. Oh, we can just do it in here. That's the easiest.
All right. So
I think it's doable. Yeah.
This one. So the previous one, we've wrapped it in a div so that obviously we can center that. So maybe can I just do this? Is this how you do it?
Yeah.
This is coding.
This is coding.
And then move the closing div around the bottom of the button.
Yeah.
This is pair programming. This is excellent.
And then delete all the other rubbish.
So do we
which SVs do we take though? I honestly like the first one.
The first one is what we want. So just delete the second one.
Awesome. And not the
No,
div.
not the div. Yeah, because
Do
you
we
can
need to-
see patch 1 is what was the branch was called of this new one.
So
And
we also
yeah, we don't have prettier in here, unfortunately.
ooh. Cool. Mark has resolved.
I don't know. I don't do it through the GitHub UI. I have no idea.
Confirm
nice.
merge.
It'll be fine.
And now we don't have any conflicts, so that's good. So if we have a look now, we're just adding, I guess, changing the classes,
Changing the SVG.
and changing the SVG. Awesome.
Yeah.
We
Awesome.
happy with this?
Very happy.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your contribution. Whoop.
We're gonna go back, pull in the main, and everything's all over the place, I think.
Oh, gotta do
Let's
swag
see.
and caps. All right. And so yeah, now if I
You still got to
come
merge
here-
it.
Oh, still gotta merge it.
Yeah.
Cool.
You've approved it, but not merged. And there we go. Thank you very much, both of you. We should
Thank you.
probably look at your
Yeah.
names.
That is
Yeah.
awesome. Oh yeah, we had Priley. Paul Riley, thank you so
Makes
much.
sense. Thank you, Paul Riley. Nice looking
And
button.
Good merging of the two names into that handle. That's very good. And we also had Etonic.
You have to click on the picture. So hover it. And then, yeah, there you go. That's how you go through.
All right. Valerie Steptonov, thank you so much for your contribution. That is awesome.
Thank you.
It is very awesome.
Yeah, let's see if it's actually working locally. So
Yeah.
I'm just going to blow away this again and git pull. What branch am I actually on here? I'm on login. Git checkout main, and then we just want to pull origin main.
Nice.
Also, the GitHub CLI doesn't create a new branch or anything. It just
Oh, I think it does create a new branch
okay.
for you. Yeah, that's why we were on the login branch. So we just hopped back to the
okay.
main.
It was
Awesome. So if you want to get your swags, then
nice.
hit us up with some PRs or open some issues for some things that you want us to build into the stream. And yeah, we will get it done.
But now look, there you go. We have both of those PRs in now, so you can see it's the first button with the nice hover state and everything, but centered properly in the page.
Nice.
Very nice.
Beautiful.
And with the different SVG as well.
Yeah. Community.
Teamwork.
Nice.
That is very cool.
Open
I also
source,
wanted to yeah, this is open source. We should make a meme with the butterfly guy and like, is this open source?
Yeah.
We also had an issue. So yeah, if you do have any questions and you're not joining us live or something comes to your mind outside of the streams, definitely open an issue and we can go through these at the top of the stream as well, because AJ asked a super valid question of, does the Supabase access token on the client side refresh automatically or is it permanent? If it refreshes, how do we sync it with the server? So the way that we're doing our server side authentication and authorization at the moment is that we are creating a cookie the first time a user signs in, or anytime that their user state changes. So anytime they refresh or they log in or they log out. And this cookie is then sent across to the server-side functions in Remix, which are our loaders and actions. And we spent a lot of time implementing this so that we can easily just wrap any loader or action in a special function called withAuth, and then it's going to ensure that a user is signed in. But we're not handling any of the refresh stuff. And also our client application is has technically a different same access token. How does it work?
I think
Alaister, how does it work?
The client side, say if you've got the page open the whole time, refreshing will work properly because the client side will refresh the token and then sync it up to the server for you. The case where this falls over is if you've closed the web page, go away for a day, and then try and open it back up, it won't refresh before it loads the first request. So in that particular case, you'll be seen as logged out for the first request. But yeah, as John, you've said in your answer there, it is going to be solved for you very shortly, thanks to our auth helpers.
Yeah. So similarly to like the styling side of stuff, we didn't want to spend these streams just going through some things that we're about to just wipe away and do for you. And so currently there are these Supabase auth helpers in Next.js and SvelteKit, and the remix ones are currently being worked on. So once we have our once we have those auth helpers, you won't need to do any of the stuff that we've done in this stream so far. So it will just automatically handle all of that server-side cookie stuff for you, and it will handle refreshing on the server side as well as on the client side. So everything will just magically work. But yeah, if you want to do it right now in Remix, the way that we've done it in this stream is a good way to get started. And then once we release these auth helpers, it will just tighten up those last few little gaps. So let's get started on this SaaS side of stuff.
Or even let's resolve Tyler's issue. We can finish our open source.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's that's how it started, right?
Style.
Look at this. Oh yeah. So for people that haven't seen the previous stream, this is my beautiful button. Again, trying to tap into that beautiful happy chat vibe, and apparently it wasn't good enough. So Tyler has opened this issue to say, hey, we need it to look better. Button. If someone can help us out, that would be awesome. To which I jumped in, questioning whether my design was good enough. And Priley also has jumped in there. So yeah, thank you so much for putting that together in a PR. So
let's resolve that one.
You're not going to close that one.
Yeah. I keep trying to get away. You're not letting me get into it.
We can you can do it even like super before you. Oh no. Ooh. But yeah, I wanted you to write resolved by number 3 and number 4.
All right. Are you going to reopened? Resolved by. Oh, does this automatically? Oh, yeah. It does.
Mm. So if you come via the issue, it just makes it super easy. Close with comment. There you go. It makes it super easy to find, why an issue is being closed. So, you can just click straight through to those and it'll take you to the PRs. Like GitHub can even do this for you when you write your PR, if you include the issue number in there and say like resolves number, issue number 2.
I like those tricks a lot.
Well, yeah, it will automatically close it for you and stuff like that, which helps keeping things organized. Yeah. There you go, John. We're all done now. We can jump into it.
Let's SaaSify. All right. How do we start with our SaaSifying? So let's talk through, I guess, what we're planning to do, because you might be at any point in that journey of understanding what a SaaS app actually is and how you might solve this issue. So we want to be able to limit. Are we limiting based on the number of journal entries that someone can write?
Before we dive into that, do we complete the app itself? I feel like, was there a way to compose a new journal entry? I feel like there isn't.
Or is let's not SaaSify.
Do we get that far?
We'll SaaSify next
currently,
week.
We can edit the existing articles and stuff, but there's no way to create a new article, new journal entry from scratch, I think.
So yeah, so if we have a look at what's here, or I guess if I log out, that's also, we probably need to style that log out button. Maybe we should create a collection of small issues of just fixing one component or styling one component.
Yeah, let's do that at the end. Let's try and leave some time for ourselves.
All right, so we click login with GitHub. It's going to go through the authentication flow, and then we don't redirect anywhere. So we should probably do that as well, right?
Do we not? Why not?
We
don't.
Didn't we do that?
No, we do it on the homepage. Oh no, we did.
No, maybe I didn't click it the first time, or maybe you need to click it twice. So we've been redirected to the landing page, and here we have a list of our different entries that exist in our Supabase database. So if we click into one of those, Again, we haven't styled any of this, but these are just a couple of fields that we might care about in the database. So the title, I think this is not the created at date, but the date that we want the article, for the journal entry to be for. Like we might be writing a journal entry for the future, or writing it more likely for the past. So maybe we forgot to do our journal entry from 3 days ago or something like that. So we might set the date to that 3 days ago date. And then the actual content of our journal entry. No mic issues last week, which was very good. We'll see how we go this week. But so far, so good. We're doing very well. Alaister, just not allowed to gesticulate in any way. You have to keep your hands flat on the table. Yeah.
Maybe keep getting my network is bad, but am I alive? Can you guys see?
Yeah, you're alive.
Okay, good.
You seem great.
Great.
Yeah, I haven't had any little flashing your connection is bad issues either. So we are nailing it on the connection issues and the technical problems today. So
you can't talk about it though. Just gonna run into big problems here.
That's right. And then we have this lovely edit link, which takes us to this edit page, which allows us to actually change things about this. So
which doesn't look like a form, but it is a form.
It is a form. You can click and you can change things. The date is a big long string, but that's fine. If we instead had a very great stream and then we click submit, we can see that that has updated on our details page. And so all of this is now living in a Supabase database for our happy days.
Too many projects.
Too many. Yeah, it's got to the point where I can't even just like scroll through. Like that's going to take longer. I have to actually just use like Command F to find where my project is.
Actually, that's a good shout out though, which we probably should have done maybe a stream or two ago. For those of you who haven't seen it, you can now pause projects and they don't count towards your free tier limit. So previously you could only have 2 projects regardless of whether they were paused or not. Now you can use Supabase for every single one of your ideas.
So as you can see, because I don't want to come off the free tier, I've paused all of my other projects. All of these projects are paused.
Nice.
So I can just have the small number of active projects that I'm currently working on, one of which is our Happy Days app. And so also, so if you pause your projects, you can keep them there, which is really good if you're like stepping through an example like these streams or something like that, where you're following along and creating a Supabase instance, and you do a whole bunch of work with like creating Postgres functions or writing little SQL snippets and things. You don't want to have to delete your project and then lose all of that stuff. And so, it's really nice that you can just pause it now, and then anytime later, if you need to go and check that out, you can unpause it and be back in exactly the same state that you were in when you were actively working on it. So unlimited free projects with an asterisk that you just need to pause the ones that you're not actively developing on. So this is all, those entries are being written to this table. So we have a very simple schema for this one so far, which is just an entries table. And we just have each of those fields and then the user that actually entered that entry in. And so you can see that we have 2 entries here, but we're only seeing 1 entry on our homepage. And that is because we have row level security turned on, which means that we need to write a policy for the actual data that we want to be able to select. And that row level policy is saying we would only like to select entries for the users that created them. So authenticated users can only see their own entries. So you can't see anyone else's entries. You can insert your own entry and you can update your own entry. So basically you own that record. You can do anything except delete that record. But you can't do anything to anyone else's.
I'm thinking now we should have just made a single policy for all the statements and just made it UID is equal to user ID because they're all the same, right? We want to be able to delete our own entries as well. So.
Yeah, that's a good point. At one point, Koppel did say to me that's better to create, even if they're all like the same policy, it's better to create, rather than doing like an all policy and just enabling all actions, it's better to have 4 separate policies, because then it makes modifying them more simple. And so you won't, like it makes it more likely that you'll maintain it over time. If you have this other one, if you're going to go make a change to it, you're going to have to, you're going to either change all 4 of them, or you're going to have to go through the process of deleting that one and creating 3 other policies. So he recommended to keep them separate.
I think that's a great idea, because once we add in our SaaS features of limiting how many, for example, free users can only have, I don't know, 3 entries a week or whatever we want to do that's complicated, and we can show off row-level security policies in a cool way.
Oh, yeah.
This will make it a lot easier to do it because they're split up.
Yeah, that's true. Nice. Yeah, that's going to be fun. And another thing that people sometimes do with data is not allow people to actually delete those records entirely. They do something called a soft delete, so they can still keep a record of all of the things that have happened in their database, but allow people to kind of delete the visibility of it. So as a user, you click delete, and it has been, as far as you can see, it's been deleted, but in the back end, it's just maybe set a column of is soft deleted to true or something like that. So,
and
like a
GDPR
big system
came in.
Sorry?
GDPR came in and crushed all of that, didn't they?
Well, yes. I think if you think that when you delete a status off Facebook or a picture or something that you've uploaded to Twitter that it's actually deleted forever and not stored on their servers, then that might not be the case. Or does GDPR force them to do it as well? Or do they just have to write an end user policy that no one reads?
Who knows?
I guess I'm not sure. Yeah.
Anyway,
I do not live
completely
close
off
to
topic.
Europe.
Policies are cool. Maybe you don't want to enable delete, but it's completely up to you in your application. But yeah, one way you can handle that is having a soft delete. Yeah. All right. So, what do we want to do now?
Create form, like Tyler was saying.
Oh yeah. I was about to jump into
Compose
all right, let's create a
journal.
Stripe account.
Yeah.
Let's wire up payments, but no, got to be reeled in again. We need to actually have the ability to create a new entry. So
and then Andrew checking in about GDPR. Yes, they have to do it for all European users by law.
Oh, there you go. Only European users though? Is anyone else in the world? Do they just
anywhere that follows GDPR, I guess.
Yeah, but how do you do that though? How do you do it for Europeans only? It's kind of hard. Might as well just.
Well, I guess Facebook knows everything about you, so they actually know.
Yeah, I guess.
Anyway, shouldn't be talking about these big political topics. This is the happy hour stream. This isn't the sad Facebook stream. We use GitHub for authentication, not Facebook, so it's fine. So on our landing page, if we have a look here, we're just iterating over each of our entries and then displaying them. I guess I guess none of this makes sense if we don't have a user. We wouldn't actually want to map over any of these entries, right? Because they would be...
Maybe we'll have a separate entries page that we can auth properly instead, and then we can have a homepage that just shows a massive pricing table that's going to be very complicated and it's going to make us lots of money.
That's a good call. So I think we want to change the structure of this slightly. So inside our entries folder, we want to have an index.tsx file. So this is what is going to display at /entries. And then if we pass it an ID, then it will go into these routes. So if we have a entries list page that is returning, and then I guess this will be what we were doing on our page here.
Nice.
And we can even do a little refresher. Let's do this properly. What's happened? Why is it red?
We need to actually get some entries.
Yeah. Can we copy the entire thing?
We can.
Oh, yeah.
But the bit that we don't need to copy is this stuff around a user, because wait, we don't need it anyway. What are we doing? What were we thinking? Maybe we were modifying this because we can't actually get here. Sorry, if you're not familiar with everything that we've done so far, which makes complete sense. In a previous video, in a previous stream, we created this with auth function, and if we have a look at that, it forces us to have a user, and if there is no user, then it's going to redirect to the login page. So I think this may have actually been what happened when we clicked the login button. Is it may have redirected us to the landing
it didn't
page,
log
which
us in fast enough.
Redirected us to the login page because we weren't technically yet signed in, and then once the authentication flow finished on GitHub's end, we were still on the login page. PRs are open. No,
PRs are indeed open.
We'll fix that.
I mean, it'll be fixed once we put the auth helpers in, once they're finished.
Yeah,
you know,
good call.
When that smart guy finishes working on them.
Yes. One day it will get done. All right. If you're not aware, that's me as the smart guy who's working on it, who would love to work on it once I have some time to work on it. We will get there. All right. We want to move this across to our entries page. And we'll need to bring in lots of stuff. All right, Tyler, you're right. Let's just undo this, take the whole page, move it across to here. Yeah. It's much easier to just remove the stuff we don't need. So we would never, what I was rambling about before is this with auth function will redirect to the user if they're not currently signed in. So then here, where we're pulling the user out of our, whatever we pass back from our loader, and then we're checking if we have a user, then we want to show them the log out button. This will always be the case. This one will always be true, and this one will always be false. And so we don't actually need this one at all because we can't get to this page. If we've wrapped it in with auth, we can't actually load this page unless we have a user. So we also don't need to check whether we have a user here. We can just show a button for logging out.
Nice.
And we probably want to rename this to entries list. And then down the bottom, now we're exporting there. It's fine. All right. And now what do we want to display on our actual index page?
A big buy now button.
You know how to get them sales up. Get those monthly actives. All right.
Andrew's giving us some tips on how to actually implement the login flow properly as well.
You have to create a loading page which doesn't have auth on it so that the client side can send the request to the server side first. Then the loading page can redirect to the index page. That's a good idea. So so when the state of the user changes on the login page, as in we would be listening to the on-auth state change hook, maybe. All right,
I'm very happy to click login twice at the moment, to be honest.
Yeah.
We'll fix it.
Someone
are open.
fix it. Yeah.
Yeah, Andrew, do you want to open a PR? If you're here, why aren't you just joining us on the stream? We could, yeah, that'd be fun. Anyway, so
he's probably in bed, like.
Yeah, that's right. Not near nice microphone and nice camera, maybe. All right. So on our login page, on our landing page, maybe we just say sign in if you are not, and a link.
Andrew says I'll join next week. Sorry, Andrew, next week's not on.
Oh yeah, we should have mentioned that at the top. So next week, these two are at a conference. I'm taking a week off. So maybe Andrew can just run the stream by himself and fix all of the things instead of opening
we'll just
PR,
get back and there's a nice app.
Yeah, that's right. Everything like functioning properly. That'd be lovely. So this will be a link to /login. So one thing, the reason that I'm just going the easy route here and just saying, if you know whether you're signed in or not, just click this button if you're not signed in, is because currently our with-auth function is also whether the user is currently signed in is required. And so something that we do in the auth helpers is you can actually pass an extra parameter to say, like, is the user actually required to be signed in? So it makes this with auth thing more of like an optional, like, it doesn't force a redirect of the user unless they have to be signed in. So in that case, we could wrap.
We could just add a parameter. It will take 1 minute.
It probably takes less time than me explaining it. All right, let's do it. So this would be
after the function with auth function. So with auth return type, comma, like auth required equals true.
Here?
Yeah, why not? I don't know. Yeah, why?
Wouldn't it be an arg?
Yeah. Why not? This is it. It's gonna be great.
You mean like this?
Oh, you don't need the squiggly curly things. We'll just have it as a single parameter. But yeah,
we just say required, and initially we'll just set this to
with an equal sign.
True. Equals
instead of a colon.
Yeah. So we're setting a default value to true, and then we could say if there's no user and required.
Too easy. We're done.
Then we redirect them, which means that we can't pass a user here. We can say user or null. This is going to break all of our types.
It is going to break all of our types. It needs to be user or null. We could do some crazy generic solution, but that's probably going to be a bigger pain than just making it nullable.
All right. Anyway, let's just undo this for now. We don't need to go through all this. We don't need to spend more time on types, because what we need to do is just build out.
There you go. That's how you could do it right there.
That is how you could do it. And that's how it is done in the auth helpers that we will release soon. But for now, so that we don't just spend too much time on styling, we just want to say...
Well, what we can say is PRs are open. If you want to fiddle around with the with-auth thing, to make the user optional, write a crazy generic type to return the user if required is true. Yeah.
And then we could just say go to entries with a point to the right. And we can get rid of our other stuff here and all of this stuff and this stuff and get rid of this one. Cool. So now when you land on the landing page, you get an application error, and if you refresh, it says go to entries, and you click that. The reason that I've done this is that this will then handle that for us. So if we're logged out, you can still see that landing page, but when we click go to entries, it says, hang on, you're not signed in. And so it automatically redirects us to the login page. So now we can log in with GitHub, and then it takes us back to this landing page. And so then we can be like, hang on, I logged in. Let me click that button. And then we can actually see our
nice
our entries. So we've handled our login flow anyway. So we need another button. And this button can be new entry. And we can make another function where we handle new... Wait, no, this is just going to be a link, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
So this is going to be similar to our...
If you cast your mind back to last week, we made our form work for both edit and new create, maybe. I can't remember. I think so. Maybe we want to split it out into a component.
I think we had it in my mind, but I don't know if we actually went ahead and did it.
Yeah, well, we didn't create the create page.
But
so that's why we used upset, right?
Right.
That's right.
Nice.
Yeah, cool. So we could just go to, but don't we need? We need an
the
ID
routing.
to get
So
this
we
page.
can.
Yeah, well, I'm saying we should split out the form into its own like component and then just reuse the component. That's like the magic of components, right?
It is the magic of components. All right, let's create a components folder, and in there we can have entry form.
Love it.
Nice.
And we can move our edit logic here. So just this whole form.
Yeah, I'm thinking so, yeah.
Into our entry form. So const entry form equals. I swear we'll get to SaaSifying one day. This is like when we kept talking about how we would get to Flutter eventually. We will get there. And we want to export default entry form. So we then want to pass in an entry.
But it's going to be an optional entry, right? Because we may or may not have one.
Okay, so then this would be.
Not
That's how
quite.
we do it?
Nope.
No, not entry.
Nope. That's like,
Question mark.
you're saying the return type is
Exclamation mark. This.
Yeah.
Some of these.
No, let's do it properly and make a type entry form props, and then right after the squiggly bracket you can make it entry form props.
Type entry form props.
Oh, look at Copilot knows.
Oh, no. We don't need an on submit. And then this whole thing would just be entry.
No, one back. You need it before the. Yeah.
Boom.
Nice.
And our entry can come in. I think we exported it from our routes.
Oh yeah, it still makes me unhappy that it comes from a route instead of another file.
Alaister, PRs are open. Feel free to drop one in there anytime. So our entry might not exist, so we can just do like or null.
Well, in the ID field, we won't need an ID at all if there's no entry. So maybe let's wrap that particular one in a
if.
Yeah.
So we're going to say
if there's entry and
yeah,
you don't need to check the ID. Or you can, but you need a question mark. But I was just, that's all I was thinking. The other ones can have question marks.
At one point, I remember it mattered whether you did like the and short circuiting or like a ternary with a null. Is there like is one of them better than the other? Does it matter anymore?
If you've ever tried to render a Boolean in React, it doesn't actually work. So it doesn't matter. Although that being said, entry isn't a Boolean. But it will return. Oh no, you're actually right. In this case, it will be undefined, but React, I don't think cares about undefined anyway. So
yeah,
if you want to do a ternary, do a ternary.
No, it's fine.
And then
cool.
For these other ones, we'll have to add in an or as well,
or an empty string.
Because the form yellow is.
Yeah. So if the entry doesn't exist or isn't an object, then we can't access title on it anyway. So if the entry is undefined or the title is undefined, then it's going to fall back to this string, this empty string, which is what we're setting the default value of our input to. So each of these inputs will have an actual value. I feel like Copilot was actually right. Do we need an on submit? Do we want to pass that in?
Well, this is where I fall over with Remix, because I think we still want to use our action somehow, right?
Yeah, right. So our action. Yes, because we can pass across I forget what it's called, but yeah, like basically telling it what the action we're trying to perform is. So whether we're trying to create a new one or update an existing one. Yeah.
Do we do that with just like another form field, or
I think we would need to pass something in, wouldn't we? Because we'd need to still tell it, tell this dumb form that doesn't know anything about what's going on outside of it. We'd need to tell it whether it's trying to do an insert or an update, or
So
could we
wouldn't
just
be able to just we wouldn't be able to just copy and paste that whole submit function into this file, and it wouldn't
Yeah,
work.
let's do that. I'm into that. And then we can just re-export it
Yeah.
as an action from the other pages. I mean, it's probably not the remix way, but I don't know the remix way. So we're going to experiment, see if it works. PRs
So
are
we're
open.
pull...
Yeah, can we do that?
Do you mean pull this one into?
Yeah, something like that. Would this work? I don't know.
I don't think we can export an action from.
Well, no, we can't. But then if we re-export it from the page, it will be fine. Everything will be fine. I'll show you. So we just sort out all your imports.
All my imports. All right.
And the redirect.
Redirect.
Nice. Okay. Save, and then go back to our edit form, and then export const action or equals action. I don't know. Although we need to, maybe we can actually, instead of doing that, get rid of that whole line. We'll do it the proper way.
Okay.
And then at the import section at the top, here's some new syntax for you. We'll do export and then squigglies action from
export squiggly. This squiggly?
Like the what are they, curly brackets?
Curly brackets.
Right.
Yeah. Action. And then we can say from and then the entry form.
This is ... slash this one?
No, it's from the entry form. I'd just do the tilde tilde components. And then the entry form. Yeah, this is so remix, very the way how it's supposed to be done, I'm sure.
Surely.
And so then we can render the component, the form, in our render function in the edit page.
Cool. The edit page where we had a form, we're now rendering out a different form, an entry form. So we don't want to bring this form in or redirect. Whoa. We want to import entry form from there. And then that's what we want to return.
Copilot knows.
Oh, yes. All right.
Nice.
And then also we need to update, because you moved the entry type declaration to a different route, which is why it shouldn't be in a route. So you need to update that import as well.
All right.
Routes / entries.
Entries.
All right, now let's try the edit page again, see if we broke it or not.
All right. Will this page work currently? It will.
No,
all right.
you're closing well, you might not have saved yet. So we see the edit form. The question is, maybe if you fix the spelling of yummy or something like that.
And then we submit.
Spelling there.
It's still working.
Nice.
Yay.
Now,
wow. Okay.
In theory, we can, when we set up our new page, however you were doing it, we can just re-export that same action in the same way. I'm going to get yelled at by someone from the remix team, I'm sure. Like, we have a way of doing this that's better.
Kent's going to come after you. He's going to hunt you down.
Can we make this small error? Yeah, I think it's closing link tag, right? Instead of closing button tag.
It's so painful. I was trying not to say anything.
So if we have a new page, that's not going to sit under a particular ID, is it?
No.
We're just going to have entries / new.
Yeah.
Okay. So we can just do new here, and then we can do not that. And then this doesn't need to be a dynamic route. We can just have a new.tsx, and that.
We must copy and paste that edit form, couldn't we?
Yeah,
and just
let's do. That's a good idea, Tyler.
You guys don't like watching me slowly write out these things anymore?
We can drop the loader.
New entry. We can drop the loader.
We can drop the use loaded data.
And we don't need to use loaded. data, which means we can then get rid of these ones.
And don't need to
get rid of
pass
our entry prop.
entry, and that's it.
We
Yeah.
don't pass anything. And now we should be able to
Should
create
be it.
a new one.
So
Yeah.
in theory, this should work.
Theories are good.
Then we
Let's
create a
Go back to this page and click this
Nice
beautifully
styling.
styled button. Uh-oh. Wait, no, it works. Yeah, we just don't.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And we have no. All right, we have absolutely no feedback as to what we're meant to put in each of those fields. So we can do that easily by just saying we can put a placeholder.
The thing you definitely should not do, but that's right. PRs are open. Someone can fix
Yeah.
it for us.
Just
Title.
title should be fine.
All right. I was gonna give like a prompt of like what you might put in here. More friendly placeholders.
Yeah, what placeholders should be.
How do you do a placeholder for a text area? It's probably
Placeholder.
just this. And for the date, definitely need to fix this up at some point.
Yeah.
Make
Yeah.
this not just a raw
That
string.
would be a nice PR.
PRs are open.
Excellent PR. Yeah, that would be
Actually
a
use the date input.
yeah. And now look at this beautifully styled form. Maybe we don't need any
Nice.
more PRs. Let's ship it. Our title for this one is going to be a new test entry. And then our content is going to be, look, our accessibility works. We can
Nice.
Tab through.
It's not
Do you
actually
wanna
working
maybe
very well,
grab-
but we can tab through because we're using a form and the browser's giving us that by default.
Do you want to grab the date
Will
field from the other one? Just
this work?
so we can copy and paste
Yeah.
it. Oh, we don't need. Do we need a date? I don't know. I want full chances of working. So let's just grab the date from the other one.
Let's grab it from.
I don't know if the formatting's the same. Please grab it from. Just open the entries page again.
But then I'll have to type these two again.
New tab. Oh,
No, it's gone. It's gone.
It's gone.
It's deleted permanently. Yeah. All right.
We know that one works, so that's not going to be part of the problem if it.
I like it. All right. Title. Will this work? Whoops.
The answer is no.
No. And the date is this one. And then we submit. And we do just get an application error because we're going to /entries/undefined. So,
right. Okay.
rather than pulling out our entry ID, which assumes that we've passed this across as part of our form data, which we haven't if we don't have an entry, that hidden form. So when we upsert into Supabase, we get back this data thing that we haven't actually been using, which, because we chain on .single, is just our record, right? So data
should be, yeah.
?.id. Because if, actually, let's handle this differently. Let's say if
proper error. Nice.
Console log. No, what was it? Alert.
We can't alert in here. It's server side.
Console log error.
And
console log or console error?
Throw error?
Throw. Let's throw. That solves all of our problems.
Chuck it up.
Oh, right.
Let's do it. And then we shouldn't need this because, yeah.
Nice.
If we have an error, we throw, and we either have an error or data. So our data.id is what we want to redirect to, and that could be our only issue. Let's have a look.
Let's hope so. I'm not sure how upsetting if it requires us to pass in an ID. If it does, we can just grab our own UUID. But we shall see.
Does this one work? Maybe it does work.
Nice.
Hey.
That's so
beautiful.
Good.
And then we can go edit, and we can say it does work, and submit.
Same form.
God, that's so cool. Yeah, upserts.
Upserts.
I like how in this screen it's title, date, content, and when you edit it, it's title, content, date.
Do you like that, Tyler? Sounds like maybe you don't like that.
Another PR opportunity, I guess. Relatively easy one.
Yeah. We could just quickly change it. How about we do that?
Yeah,
so it's title, date, content. We can. Well, date
Okay,
makes
sure.
more sense to be above, right? Like we have
Yeah.
the title of it, the date of it, and then we have the actual content.
Yep.
Should
Nice,
it be
nice.
first?
Yeah, that
Could be
might work.
first.
Yeah,
Why
I like
not?
that. Yeah.
It does seem the most relevant initially.
Yeah.
Yeah, you probably have a date before you have a title. It makes sense. It makes sense. All right, cool. And we're done. Let's ship it. So now we start off with a date, and then we've got a title, and then we've got the actual content, and we can edit it, and we have it in the same order, which is very nice and cool. So we can now create
Okay.
new entries.
Should
What's
we
next?
SaaSify it?
Can we
you get to say
SaaSify
it.
it? Is it
I
time to
think we can.
SaaSify it?
I'd
I've
say
been
think
so
it is.
excited about
Yeah.
SaaSifying it. Oh man, Andrew's been going off in the comments. There's and a whole bunch of other people joining us. This one, is it safer to have a Windows program open your web page to create an account? Private key stored on server rather than have the private key stored in the program.
I'd say, well, it seems like quite a specific question, but I'd say store your private keys on the server when you can, because anyone can get into your app code, whether that be an actual app or a website. That's my very general advice.
Yeah. And the reason that we can expose a non-key in our GitHub repo, the reason that it's fine that we've committed that to our source control is because we have RLS turned on. And so RLS denies all actions by default. And our only table at the moment is entries, and we've got RLS enabled. And so people are only, even if they have access to a non-key, they can only do the things that we enable with these policies. So if someone gets a non-key in our URL, they can't really do anything beyond what we're enabling them to do.
Yep.
Nice.
And Ali is coming to us from somewhere saying good morning, evening, afternoon. Yeah, I think it's probably one of those for everyone at the moment. And then we have Andreas coming to us from Colombia.
Colombia,
Awesome.
Nice.
What time is it in Colombia?
Lovely time, I'm sure.
Yeah, it would be early in the morning. Early in the morning, like in the night.
No, wouldn't it be like night? Like, I don't know, like 5, 6, 7 p.m. somewhere around that time?
5, 6 p.m. yesterday.
I think so. Yeah.
Time. It is 8 p.m.
Okay, I wasn't too off.
Happy Thursday.
Yeah, happy Thursday. And George is joining us, who has joined us for a few streams. So thanks for joining us again.
Coming back.
Welcome to the stream. Devzana is saying hello, everyone. Welcome to the stream. Hope you're enjoying it so far and learning lots about Remix and how to handle routing and things and Supabase. And now we get to SaaSify. Let's do it.
Nice.
All right. How are we gonna SaaSify it? What do we need to do first? We need to
Stripe. Here we come.
Probably create a Stripe account, right? Oh yeah. So we're just kind of assuming that knowledge, but yeah, we are going to use Stripe for this. There are other options, and sometimes different payment.
Other providers are available.
Other providers are available. You don't have to use Stripe necessarily. Stripe isn't available in all countries, and so if Stripe isn't available in your country, then there may be another option for this. But yeah, Stripe does make it super easy to do one-off payments and also subscriptions, which is what we're doing for this series. So yeah, I don't want to like manage a cron server that needs to check like do we need to charge these people and like store credit card information for those people. That sounds terrifying. So I'm going to let Stripe do that, and we can just build an application that looks as beautiful as our application looks
and makes money
and makes us money. Yeah. Is functional enough, just functional enough to make us some money. So let's sign in. So I already have a Stripe account. So yeah, you will need to create your own Stripe account. Don't log into my account. That would not be a good idea. Verification code.
Do you want to do this on stream, or do you want
Well,
to?
It's
I think with the stream delay, if someone had his password,
Yeah.
I think you'd be right.
And I trust our streaming friends with money in my Stripe account. It's fine. Oh, there's my phone number. That's no good. Oh well.
Sorry,
Cool. All right. So we are going to create a new. I don't know if
Account?
it's called an account. So you can have these like sub accounts within your overall account. So I'm signed in as my user, and then I can kind of create these different tenants or these different like sub accounts within that. So I'm going to create a new account for this new company, which is going to be Happy.
Great company. A great Australian company.
Australian.
Not Japanese.
Australian. I guess it's it's an international company because it's Japan and Australia. It's an APAC country, APAC company. Anyway, we're going to create that account, and so that creates this like little isolated like sandbox, or this little isolated piece within our Stripe account. And so this is how, like, if you use Stripe for multiple applications that you're building, it's how you kind of segment those so your customers just belong to one of those segments. So now we have our Happy Days account. This gives us a publishable key and a secret key, which I won't click to reveal, because although these are just the test ones, it's probably fine.
Yeah.
Let's just not commit it to the secret key to the GitHub repo, and we'll be good.
Yeah, good idea. These basically give us the ability to interface with Stripe, and so we can then install a Stripe JS library on in our application, kind of similar to what we're doing with Supabase. So we create a Supabase client. We can create a Stripe client using these API keys, and then that allows us to either create customers or process a payment, like charge a customer, those sorts of things. So if we think about kind of like the architecture of our application, or like the flow of a new user coming to our application for the first time, they are going to be, they'll click that go to entries page. So if we go back to here, go to entries, log out. So a new user would come to our application. They'd see this go to entries button. They'd know, yeah, that means click it. Yeah, sure. And then they would click this, and it would take them to the login page. And they'd be like, oh, okay, I need an account. So I'm going to log in with GitHub. And then they're going to get redirected to here. So in that process, what's happened with a brand new user of our application is that has gone and created an account in Supabase under our, actually I can just show you the table itself. So under the auth schema, we have this users table. And so this is how Supabase manages users that sign in. Anytime we say like supabase.auth.signin, that goes and creates a record for that user in this special table that it manages for us. So probably shouldn't show everyone's emails, but we had a few people that have signed in. Oh, that one has a password because it's it was before we enabled GitHub. That was my test one. But when we create a new customer or a new user in Supabase, we probably want to go off and create a new user in Stripe as well. Is that the way you two would do it?
I think so. Seems reasonable.
Yeah.
I think
Let's do that.
Even though we're not like charging anyone anything yet, it's a good idea to like set up all of that plumbing so there is as little friction as possible once you go to actually charge someone money. You want them to just be able to click that beautiful buy now button, and everything just magically happens, rather than them needing to like now that you're trying to buy something, now's the time to create an account, and while you're at it, tell us about your 3 favorite things, and let's set up some secret questions to be able to recover your account, and all those things. You want to like reduce those things as much as possible. So how are we going to do that? How are we going to know when we have a new user signing into our application?
We are going
Is it
to
called function
use
hooks? No,
an
it's
well, I think it's still named functions hooks, but async
function
triggers.
hook. Async triggers. That's the one that I was
It's going to be
looking for.
very confusing for anyone who's watching in the future. But we are renaming this. So currently it's called function hooks.
I think
but
the funny
maybe
thing
by
is
the time you're watching this, it might
we
be
said
called async triggers.
like 13 episodes ago in like the very first
Yeah,
episode.
we've been saying it's gonna be renamed. It's gonna be
It's
renamed.
going to be renamed. And it's just like one of those lower priority tasks that.
But someone's actually put their name to it now, so it's committed. Someone's going to do it. And so yeah, function hooks will probably be called async triggers in the future, or something else if we decide to change the name before then. But yeah, don't freak out if you don't have function hooks in your menu here. It's probably called async triggers if you don't have function hooks. So we're going to enable hooks. And what are hooks? What are function hooks or async triggers? What do they allow us to do?
I don't know, Tyler. What are they?
These are I like to think of them as just the typical webhooks. So basically, you can react to any kind of database changes within your database, and when something happens within your database, like a new user was inserted in your that users table, you can trigger a webhook to the external URLs.
That is a very good use case for what we're trying to do. So we can subscribe to those changes in the database, and then we can call some kind of URL. So we're going to need that URL. We're going to need an endpoint that's actually going to do that work for us. So we get to, I just wanted to quickly check. No, this could be a problem.
Oh, we don't have auth schema in
We
here.
can't actually set up function hooks on the auth.users table because it's outside the public schema.
Interesting.
This is a spanner in the works, isn't it? I guess we could create a
profiles table,
intermediate
public
profiles
users table. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe we'll need to do that. So for
Well,
people
it's actually we actually need an extra table to store the extra user data on. Like we could store it in the metadata field, but the user can edit that themselves. So maybe instead of a profiles table, we just have a user data table, which references, and then we can store the Stripe ID in there. So it's not a big deal. It'll be all right.
That's true. That's a clever idea. Let's do that. Homie Coder is also joining us, saying, "Sup, super fellas. I know there is no silver bullet frameworks, but Remix seems to hit most checkboxes. Any regrets as challenges? Do you reach for other frameworks?" It's a very good question.
I'm loyal to no one.
I always feel so sad. Yeah, never mind. I won't go into it. Next.js and Remix are both awesome. They're probably my two frameworks of choice. I am really enjoying using Remix recently just because I feel like it teaches me more about the web than when I'm building in something else. And so I feel like whenever I jump into working on a Remix app, I'm like, oh, right, that's how forms work, or that's how this thing works, which I quite like. But I think for most of the use cases that I have, I feel like Next.js and Remix are pretty similar. Like usually I just want some kind of front end, and I'm most familiar with React, so I want to write React because I'm the most productive in it. And then I want some kind of like server, little sprinkles of server magic. And so both Next.js gives us that with like get server side props, and then Remix gives us that with loaders and actions. What about you?
Yeah, I agree. That's all I have to say.
Tyler, do you have a preference?
Well, but Solid.js seems like a very solid framework.
Yeah, Solid is cool.
Yeah,
Solid
played
seems
around
solid.
it enough, but it seems really cool.
Yeah, I feel like this is part of the problem, is like it's just so distracting with all of the cool like things that do things in like a slight different way. I always want to learn all of them, and then I just never have time to actually
Yeah.
invest in getting good at them. So
I think
yeah,
SolidJS
solid
recently
feedback.
came out with their own. I think it was called Solid Kit, like a Solid Kit kind of thing, where it's a framework built on top of SolidJS, where you get automatic routing, and I'm not sure how much of a server-side thing they'll do, but yeah, something similar to like Next.js or Remix or Solid Kit. So I might check that out soon, but yeah.
Awesome. All right. So what we're doing, sorry, to re-explain that problem for people who don't work at Supabase and understand this problem in and out, is a function hook allows us to subscribe to events in the database. So insert, update, or delete, and then we can call an endpoint. So we were thinking we'll create an edge function. So that's like a serverless function that runs at the edge that loads in the Stripe library and then is able to create customers using our Stripe API keys. So that would be awesome and work really, really well. And we could subscribe to our auth.users table to be able to run this this trigger or this function hook anytime a new user logs into our account. Logs into our application. But with function hooks, the only schema that is exposed is our public schema. So we can't actually subscribe to events on other schemas, which our auth schema handles all of our Supabase auth logic. So we need to create a table that sits in between, which, as Alaister pointed out, we're going to need anyway, because we're going to need to store that Stripe ID that comes back so we know who our Stripe customer is. So we're going to create a little table that sits in between and stores any additional user data. So this one's going to be user data. Oh, should this be user datas?
Data is plural already, right? I don't know.
I was just stirring you up. But yes, usually we pluralize our table.
It's so hard to handle these words that, the singular and plural have the same form. Whenever we're
I always
coding.
used to use like the Pokemon API as like my go-to data set for just like, building a CRUD app or whatever. And like, it used to frustrate me so much that Pokemon is both the singular and the plural. So I started calling them like a Poke is an individual Pokemon, and then a Pokemon is the plural. Anyway, completely off topic.
We should just do it in Japanese then anyway, because it's just like no singular or plural anyway. It's just like
that's
a one thing, right?
That'll be tough.
Great.
It does.
Can we have a Japanese name as the table name? Is that allowed?
I reckon it is. Postgres is pretty cool.
That'll be interesting. That'll be fun.
I wonder if we can do like smiley face, like emojis and stuff.
Oh, that's a recipe for disaster.
How to bring down Supabase? No, not really. User data is the name of our table. We're going to enable row level security, and I reckon the way that we do this, we'll get to it when we get to it, but we're going to enable row level security just so that if anyone does get a hold of our non-key, it's all good. They can't create anything in this table. They can't mess with it. Real time. We'll want to enable real time later. But let's go through the same problem that everyone goes through where you don't enable real time now. And when we can't get real time working at the end of a stream in a couple of streams and we're getting really frustrated, we'll remember that we need to come and tick a box. So our columns for this are just going to have an ID, which we're going to make a UUID. Oh, actually.
UUID, yes, please.
Well, we don't even have to do it because the auth.users table does use a UUID. And so if we click this little button here and set up this foreign key relationship to that table, it will go and populate this with our UUID.
Nice.
I always forget about that button.
Yeah. So if you're not familiar with, relational databases and how all of that works, we're setting up a relationship between this table and our auth.users table. So we can't have a record in this user data table that doesn't map to an existing user in our auth.users table. And so Postgres will enforce that at the database layer. So we won't be able to create an ID for someone who hasn't authenticated and gone through that whole process with Supabase. We need our extra column, which is going to be our Stripe ID. Stripe them a Stripe customer. I think they're referred to as customers in.
I think Stripe customer ID do the combination of those two things.
All right, you won't be able to see it anyway because it's hidden behind this button.
Someone on the front end team.
If only we knew someone on the front end team. No. All right. So we have our Stripe customer, and do you know what the type for that is?
Text, please.
If in doubt, text. Text will accept
It
any
always
kind
works.
of data. We can check whether it actually is a. Actually, I don't think it is a UUID. I think it actually is a specific Stripe thing. Yeah, because I think it's all like they're prepended with helpful things like customer or something. So yeah, we do want that to be text. We don't ever want this to be. Wait, no, we do. Yes,
we do want that to be nullable. We don't want created at to be nullable.
Yeah. So created at should never be nullable because by default, when we create a new row in this table, the default value is now. So this will always have a value. But the Stripe customer, the reason that we stepped through that little brain puzzle there is because what we're using this table for is to create a new record for additional user data that we might want to store anytime a user signs in. But at the point that they sign in, we haven't created a customer off in Stripe yet. So when we first create an account, we are going to be creating a new record in this user data table. And then because this sits on the public schema, then we can create a function hook that's listening to new inserts on that table and go off and call our edge function. Cool. So it's okay for this one to be nullable because it'll be nullable initially, and then it will go and create a customer in Stripe.
Before you save, can I have one more field, please, for the email?
Absolutely, you can.
Because if you think about when we're creating our Stripe customer, we need to attach it. I think the only required field is an email. That's a tongue twister and a half. So we'll just by putting the email on this particular row, when it triggers our async trigger and calls our function, it'll pass along all the data that's in the row. So if we've got the email there, like we could do an extra lookup, but if we only need the email, it's you know, and then we can show it in the UI and stuff, and like in another way, it's easy. Yeah,
that's a good call.
Nice.
Not nullable.
We don't want it to be nullable because when we create this, when we create this new user data, when we create this new user data for our new user, we will populate it with the user's ID, and we'll also populate it with the email from that record that's been created. So let's do that. Let's save this one. So this is going to create that table, add those columns, and then we will now have this
function.
Nice.
Yeah, we now have this user data table. But we don't want to like manually come in here, have someone who works in admin being like, oh, we have a new user. Okay, I'm going to quickly go and copy this user ID across from here and create a new record in our user data table. And then I'm going to go off to Stripe system and manually. We don't do that anymore. We don't need to do that. We can automate all of that. Supabase allows us to kind of tie into so many of those like hooks of inserts, updates, and deletes and things, and automate all of these tasks that we don't need to think about needing to do any of those manual things. We can just set up this beautiful living organism database that's choosing to do things on our behalf. It doesn't sound terrifying at all. So we are going to create a new database function or a new Postgres function. And the idea of this is that we're going to create a function that's responsible for creating a new record in the user data table. And then we're going to assign a trigger, which similar to a function hook allows us to subscribe to particular events. So insert, update, or delete. But the difference is that we can do this across all schemas. So we can do this on the auth.users table. So first we need to create a function.
Let's do it speed round.
Nice.
Speed round, handle new user. Is that the right naming convention?
Why not? Looks great. Return type trigger.
This has to return a trigger if you want to.
No arguments.
if you want to subscribe to those changes and use a trigger with the function, it needs to return a trigger. No arguments. The definition here we're going to do in PLPGSQL, which means we need to wrap it in a begin and end. And then we're going to say, actually, we don't even need to do PLPG. Oh, no, do we need to?
No, you do for triggers because you need access to the new variable.
All right. So we want to insert a new row into the user underscore data table. And then the rows that we actually care about modifying here are the ID and the email. The values that we want to insert into there are new.id and new.email.
That easy.
So what is this new variable? What's this magic? What's going on here?
Tyler, do you want to take it? I feel like I'm always the one in the trigger.
I'm just going to keep punting these up into the air. And,
I'm not exactly expert in Postgres functions, but this new keyword contains all the newly created record if it's insert triggered function. I wonder if it's a delete triggered function, is this going to just be, what is it, null or
new does not exist? So
does not exist.
Well, no, I think it's null. I think you're right.
No, but for update, it'll be there, right?
Yeah.
Update it will.
I wonder for update, do you have access to the previous value as well?
Yeah.
Is there like an old variable?
There is exactly that.
And in the deleted, you do as well. So, so this new variable represents the new record that's being inserted into our database. So when we attach a trigger to this function, or when we subscribe to those events in the database and then call this function, we will automatically get access to this magical new variable, which represents the whole row that's being inserted into the other table. But yeah, as Tyler was just saying, we can also subscribe to update and we can subscribe to delete. So when we subscribe to update, new will be set to the new record, so the changed version of that row, but we'll also get access to old. So old will be the old record and the old values. So we might want to do some validation in here to make sure that, like, you know, they haven't changed a particular field or something. And then if we're subscribing to delete, then we just have that old record. So old.id will be the old user that's currently being deleted from that table. And the other thing that we need to remember to do if we are creating a trigger function or a function that's going to be called by a trigger, we need to return new at the end here. So we can modify like what new is. We could say like new.email is now equal to Jon at Supabase. That's how you spell supabase.com. And now every single user who creates a new account will now have this wonderful email. And so you can modify that new object and change what the columns are set to. And then when you return new, it'll be whatever that mutated version of your new record is. All right. So now you might think, oh yeah, I've done everything. I'll just click confirm. But this
we better not explain this again.
This will not work unless we click show advanced settings and we scroll all the way down to security invoker security definer. So we need to set the type of security. So we're going to set it to security definer. And what this means is that it will bypass RLS for us. If we do security invoker, then it will enforce those RLS rules, but security definer will sidestep them. So usually if you're doing something based on like a user action, then you would do security invoker. So you want to know who the user who's clicking the button is. But if you're doing something that's like system-based or server-side, which is what's happening here, we're automating a task on the server to say, when a row is inserted into this table, we also want to insert a new row into this other table. That's like a system action that's happening to keep our database in sync and automate those tasks. So we don't care about who the user is because it's the database is the user. It's happening at a system level. So we're going to say security definer and click confirm.
Nice. If you want a more detailed explanation of those, just go back and watch like any one of the other streams. I think it's a bit of a running joke that every time we, in great detail, explain security.
We're getting so good at explaining it, though.
Security invoker.
You see how efficient that was?
Very efficient. I love the bypass RLS, though. That's the best way of explaining it, I think.
Yeah. Cool.
Trigger time.
now that we have our handle new user function, which is returning a trigger, we can now set up a trigger to subscribe to those events in the database. So we can say, what's the naming convention for triggers?
What did I call it? Like, I don't know.
User
insert
inserted,
on
something like
new
that.
user.
Yeah, on auth user created, I called it, but you can call it.
Auth user created.
But Tyler's probably right that we should say inserted because that's much more Postgres-y.
True. Good call. So on auth user inserted. So that kind of gives you a hint as to what we're subscribing to here. So we are subscribing to the auth user. So if we drop down the table here, we've got a collection of different tables that exist. Don't panic if you're seeing all these things. You're like, hey, I didn't create all of these. What are they all? These are all things that Supabase uses or Postgres uses to manage different things that you can do in your Supabase database. So things like auth live on the auth schema. So here we have the auth schema and we have our users table. So that's what we were looking at earlier. And then this is running on auth user inserted. So the event that we want to...
Sorry? I've been looking at the GraphQL schema behind it, and it says on insert something. So I think it's better if it's the other way around, as on insert auth user, and then it's everything is consistent and right in the world.
Excellent. So on insert auth user. So when we insert, so the action that we care about here is insert. So we're going to tick that box, and the table that we care about is auth.users. And so we've selected that as the table we want to listen to those changes on. We then need to determine our trigger type. Now, I went through a whole awful chunk of a stream where I got this completely wrong, where I put it after, because I was like, well, I want it to be after that record is created. And so I already have an ID and all of those things. But it turns out you can't, well, I think you can't modify.
No, it depends on what you want to do. This one can be after, I think. I think if you're trying to modify,
the other one,
if you are trying to modify the new one, then it will have to be before, because you want to update that new variable. But in this case, we actually do want it to be after, I think, because we need the ID and stuff to be there in the original row. But keep in mind, it all runs in one transaction. So if your trigger insert fails, that will roll back your initial user insert as well. So your database isn't going to end up in a weird state, which is why we love Postgres so much.
Yeah, it's such a nice feature.
Awesome. And then whether we want to run this for each statement or whether we want to run it for each row, we want to select row here. And so if you think about this as we might have an insert statement that inserts many rows into the auth.users table. If we only ran this once per statement, then that one statement will be processed and it will only trigger once. And so that doesn't make sense if you're creating a new user for every single user that's being inserted into the auth.users table. You want that to run on every single row, regardless of how many rows are being affected by that individual statement. Hopefully we're getting better at explaining that one too. And then we choose the function that we actually want to trigger. So if we click this, it'll give us a list of all of the different functions that exist. Are they I think these are all just the functions that return triggers, right?
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure how we're filtering that, but handle new user is there, and that's what we want.
Nice. So that's our function. And now we click confirm to set up that subscription. So now when a new user signs in, which I guess we will need to simulate.
We're going to delete all of our users.
Let's do it. So sorry if you have signed up for an account and we're about to just delete you. We do care, and we want you to come back and create another account. But right now,
I think you have to do it through the
entries.
Or okay.
Do we need to delete entries first, at least for your user? We haven't set cascade delete, right?
Yeah, good call. So if we were to try and just delete our auth.users, because we set up this foreign key relationship between our user ID and the auth.users table, it would actually fail deleting the auth.user the user from the auth.users table, because there's this hanging relationship of this content that exists, these rows that refer to that user. So we can't just delete the user, because then the rows are orphaned and they're just floating off by themselves. And so we first need to delete anything that references that user before we can delete the user themselves. Again, so that our database remains consistent. Postgres is enforcing these strict rules about how we deal with relationships across tables, so we don't end up with a whole bunch of data that doesn't make sense. So,
but there's a way to like automatically delete the related data when I like to call it a pairing kind of thing. When the users deleted, the related entries are deleted, you can set a delete, what is it? Delete cascade delete?
Yeah, on delete cascade or something. Yeah.
I've been getting a lot of requests to like enable this from the UI, but if we have someone on the front end team, is this gonna come to the UI anytime soon?
I think we have a ticket for it off the top of my head.
Nice,
so
okay.
yeah, cascading deletes it has been requested. But yeah,
people seem to want it. Yeah, I want it too.
Yeah, I think I want it as well. So let's just go to the auth screen and then users. And I've been deleting users, but there's 2 more left for you to do, John. You can delete yourself.
Oh, thank you. That's very respectful of you, letting me delete myself, and also probably more to the point, reducing the number of times that I'm displaying a whole bunch of people's emails on the stream.
Yeah.
Thank you, Alaister. All right, so we've deleted these 2 users, and we've deleted all of our entries. So now, if I go back to my application and refresh, I guess just try and go to entries, it's going to pick up, hey, you're no longer a valid user. Supabase says, no, I don't trust you. And so I've been redirected to this login page. And now when I log in, it's going to go through that GitHub authentication flow again.
And our trigger failed.
Did it? Our trigger has failed.
If you look at, there was an error in the URL there.
Oh, right.
You can see.
Error, description, database saving new user. I feel like this error tends to happen when I'm trying to set up this exact flow. Maybe I'm not doing something right. I wonder if it is the after. I don't think it would be the after event.
If you look in Postgres logs, there is a helpful log in there. And I remember we ran into this one last time. I actually remember what it is now. And you probably will too when you scroll down and see the...
Can I filter these just as errors? I probably can, right?
Just search it. Oh, there you go. There it is. Error. It's the second one.
Second one, relation user data does not exist.
But you're saying, wait, it does exist. I just created that table. And this has to do with the context that the trigger function is running in. So if we set up the trigger to listen on our auth schema, a table in our auth schema, so when it runs the trigger, it's looking for auth.user data. But we don't have an auth.user data. We have a public.user data. So we just need to be explicit and tell Postgres where to look here. And there is other ways of doing it, like that involve updating the search path and things. But the easiest thing for us to do is just to go to our function, and where it says user data, just tell it, no, look in public.user data. This is the user data that I want it to use. Not
that is very good to know. So here we just need to be more specific, because the trigger is on a separate schema. We need to say, hey, don't just look at the auth schema where this exists. We specifically want to look at the public schema and look for the table user data.
Yep.
Awesome.
I need to remember interesting that it allows us to define that function even though that table doesn't exist.
Yeah, I don't think it does some sort of validation there to check everything's valid. But anyway, let's hit the button again. We're running out of time, so let's speed mode it up.
Oh, yeah.
Sign in.
Before we hit the button, though, it does do some kind of validate. No, it doesn't. Okay, so if you give it like just a table that doesn't exist,
it just works. It's just, let's just save it. Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it does check like your syntax is correct, definitely, if you had something there that doesn't exist. But yeah, I thought it did check the tables. Anyway, hit the big red button. Did we try to... We didn't create a user
because it
all
rolled
failed.
It back.
That's exactly what Alaister was just saying, is because it failed to do that on the trigger, because something errored during or threw an exception during that transaction, it rolled back everything in that transaction. So it actually rolled back creating that user. So now if we go to entries and we log in with GitHub again, we saw that access token flash up there. So it looks like everything has gone well. And if we have a look in here, we can refresh and see that we have a new user.
But more importantly, we
have
should
this
look
user,
in our user data table.
Yeah, this user UID here, so A7 blah, 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 ends in 249. If we go over to our user data table, we can see
Nice.
A7 blah, 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 5, whatever. We've created a new record that has a relationship to that auth.users table. And right now, our Stripe customer ID is set to null. Do you think we have enough time to
Absolutely
plumb it up?
Make it. Yeah.
Absolutely not. We're gonna have to create edge functions and
we can set up edge functions and call an edge function, but I don't think we'll be able to wire it all up in 10 minutes.
Yeah, I think that's a good midpoint where it's we'll get the actual function hook calling the edge function, and then next week we can, or not next week, we won't be here next week, but the week after we can wire up actually going off to Stripe. Let's do that. All right, so we want to create an edge function. So if we come across here to functions on the left, even though we've been creating database functions and function hooks, confusingly, over here under functions, we have edge functions, which are a new thing that we launched in the last launch week, where we can create edge functions, so functions that are in the CDN nodes all around the world, so as close as possible to our users, and run some functionality there. It's kind of wrapping around Dino edge functions, or Dino is it Dino deploy?
Dino deploy,
yeah. And it's as simple as, well, first you need to install the Supabase CLI, which let's go through it. Is there documentation for going through that? Surely.
I'm sure there will be, but it's probably under its own section called installing the CLI.
We're going to copy this Supabase functions new hello world. We're going to open up our terminal here, and we're going
Jonathan
to say,
has a helpful comment in the in the chat for how we can finish the app.
Sorry.
You both
sorry,
it.
I will have to go Super Saiyan again, like he did, implementing half of the Flutter app in 5 minutes.
Yeah. If you if you haven't watched our previous example, we basically
Episodes 9 maybe.
Yeah, we spent I think 8 or 9 streams implementing the Next.js app, and then Tyler just came in and smashed through the Flutter app in like 2 streams. So
and we stretched it out to 2 streams.
we did. And so this is why we don't let Tyler touch a keyboard anymore, because we won't have a happy hour stream. We don't have enough things you can do with Supabase if Tyler just smashes through all of them in like 4 or 5 streams. So they let me type, and then we go at a grindingly slow pace, and we get to fill out all of these Supabase happy hours and get to hang out for a whole bunch more weeks. So we want to create a new function, a new Supabase function, and we're calling it create Stripe customer.
Seems logical to me.
And that cursor is focused in the wrong place. All right, so this created a new function. I'm already in VS Code. If we have a look here, this has created a new Supabase folder and a functions folder within that, and then a create Stripe customer folder, and then this is our index.ts file. So there was something about telling this that it's
it's going to be it will break the whole Remix app, I think.
Okay.
So let's just let's deploy this to just the example that returns some JSON, and then we can see if we can call it and stuff. Okay. Yeah, let's keep following those.
Also here we have Supabase functions deploy our function. So we go Supabase deploy, and then rather than hello world, it is create Stripe customer, and then our project I think
I
it's
think you need
dash
dash. Yeah.
project ref is equal to this one, right?
Equal? Well, I think you can just do a space, but yeah.
Right.
It might work with an equals. I don't know. Our CLI team is pretty good, so they've probably made that work.
Yeah. And our CLI team is so cool that there are maybe some new things coming to the CLI in a couple of weeks. Maybe there's a launch week coming up. Maybe. Who knows? All right. So this has bundled up our create Stripe customer function. It's deployed it to the dashboard. So now we can. Oh, that's going to open.
Also, how fast was that deploy? That's like my favorite feature. Is just
so
fast.
It's insane. And so, yeah, if we come back, if we, I think, refresh our functions page, we will see our new create Stripe customer. And then we have this URL already here for our live function that's running at the edge all over the world. So
awesome.
If we copy that one, it's not going to let me, is it? Damn it!
I think go details. Yeah, it's there. And copy the invoke command. Actually, scroll down because you need to pass in the stuff.
Yes, we do need to pass in
the anon key, but it copies it for you. I think because
cool.
You should just I think I built that. I can't remember.
Also,
that was a long time ago.
Awesome.
I hope it does.
Another thing to note is I was about to just copy that URL and go and paste it into a browser, and then I would have got an error saying, what are you talking about? And that's because the browser makes a GET request, and our Supabase Edge functions currently only respond to a POST request. So if we copy this URL here, and we can't paste it in the browser, this is a curl command. Terminal. So we're going to copy this and paste it into the terminal and just press enter.
Scroll down.
And there we go.
Oh, there we go.
Nice.
Message. Hello, functions. So can we get this wired up to a function hook in the next 4 minutes?
We can try.
Of course we can.
But before we do that, Heavy Polly has a question in the chat.
This one?
I think. We can answer
this
that one as well.
Sorry.
This one.
Just because we can answer that one as well.
I think that's probably the same issue we just ran into ourselves with the saving user. When you got to make sure to do the public user data. So maybe just rewind the stream a few minutes, see what we did to fix it, and then if that isn't the problem, I'm not sure. I can't see our code. I hope it is.
Do you think it's generally a good practice always include the schema whenever you reference a table in SQL?
You can't go wrong.
Yeah. Do we want to answer this question from Homie Coder? Could the trigger do insert and delete with conditional Postgres function, or is two triggers cleaner? I don't know. I feel like if it's related, I feel like it should be bundled to one trigger function. But what do you think, Alaister?
I'm going to go with the cop-out answer of it depends. I'll leave it up to your best judgment whether it makes more sense to bundle them into one. If it's basically the same functionality, I'd say bundled. If they do two completely different things, split it out into two functions.
Nice. I just quickly added a little bit to our function here to pull out the record from what we're passing across to this edge function, and then also return that as part of the response, just so that we can...
Can we see the return response, or do you want to console log it? I think it's easier if you console log the record.
Okay, console.log, and we'll do one of these ones.
Nice.
So this isn't what prints out. All right, only the console logs print out in the console?
In the logs there, you can see there's a logs tab.
All right, we're going to redeploy. Whoops, that's calling it. We are going to redeploy that function. So redeploy our create.
Boom, so fast done. To like
so
30-something locations around the world. It's crazy that works like that.
Insane. And now when I call it, we're still just getting...
Because there's no record.
Of course, because I'm calling this at the CLI, whereas what we want to do is we want to set up Supabase function hooks to now call this edge function. So if I copy... all right, let's just Let's
can
step
do it.
through it. So,
2 minutes.
we got 2 minutes. We can do this. We can do this. We've never finished on time, so we definitely can do this. Create a function hook, and this one is going to be create on what would you like it to be?
No idea. It's too, yeah. Speed is key. Write some random letters.
All right. Should we fix up our types while we're here? Create
Types.
Stripe customer. We want to listen to the user data table on our public schema. We want to listen to inserts. So anytime, so we're now setting up this like multi-chain thing where it's like a user signs in with GitHub. That creates a new record in our auth.users table. We have a Postgres trigger listening to inserts on that table, and we go and create a new record in the user_data table. And then now we're setting up a function hook to listen to inserts on that table and then call our Supabase Edge function. So yeah, super cool what we can do with this kind of like automated chaining of things, because we know every time one of those actions happens in the database. So it will be nice soon. We'll be able to call a Supabase function directly from here. But right now, we need to make a HTTP request. So as I said before, we need to make this a post. The Edge function URL, we want to...
Nope. I just get it from the console again.
All right. We want to grab this one.
Nice.
And you'll see that we're also passing across a header. Oh, does this?
Yeah, so we need to pass in this ourselves. So we just need to make an authorization header and pass through all of that.
Cool. So we copy this one. We make an authorization header. Authorization, that's the value, what we had in our clipboard.
Spelling looks okay.
And did we also, we needed to, oh yeah, so Supabase function hooks will pass across that data for us. So it'll pass across the new record. So we don't need anything else. We can just click confirm.
Nice.
And now we can test the whole thing works by...
We have to delete the user again, don't we?
Yeah.
Deleting our user. All right, we didn't create any entries, which is good. So we just need to delete our user from here. And once that's happened, did that work? Maybe it didn't work. Delete. This violates a thing because we created our user data. So if we delete that one, this is what we were talking about before, where we can't delete the auth.user if we have data associated with it. So if our user data table has a row that references that user, then we can't delete them. And so now we can delete this user. And then we can go through that sign-in flow again. If we had our
so we have
server running. We can do this. We're already over time. We already failed, so we can take as long as we need. That's the rule. As soon as you hit the time, if you don't make it exactly on time, you can just keep going forever. So we will log in with GitHub. This will, as I said, create a new auth.users user. That will then trigger a new row to be inserted into our user_data table. And that's then going to trigger a call to our Supabase function hook, which...
Let's see the logs.
We can look at logs for.
It definitely didn't work. Oh no.
It didn't work.
Uh-oh.
Record is undefined.
No, that was that call was you calling the CLI. That was there already.
It just didn't even call it at all.
Yep.
Okay. I guess we'll start there next week or week after that.
We will work out what has happened and we will fix it up next week. Yeah. All right. It will work. I promise. But it's probably good for us to start it from there anyway next week, so it's not confusing as to all of this stuff that's happened. We can kind of refresh where we're up to. And yes, by next week, I mean 2 weeks from now, because we will not be here next week. But yeah, cool. That's a little like quick introduction to Supabase function hooks, triggers, functions, edge functions. So we've basically touched all of the function-y things, and relationships across different tables. We've created our Stripe account, but we haven't wired that up yet to our edge function, but we'll do that in the next stream. But yeah, I feel like we've actually covered heaps in this
Yeah.
Smashed it.
stream.
And
It's all coming together. It doesn't look
if
like it's
anybody
coming
wants
together, but it
to,
is coming together.
and if anybody's interested in open source contributions, there's a plenty of work that needs to be done in this Happy Days app. Obviously, our form input fields doesn't even have a border around it, or stuff like that. Little things, big things, whatever you wanted to do. Yeah, I guess go nuts with it. We are happy to be creative. I think, yeah, we are happy to merge in any kind of creative, piece of work. So
Yeah. And yeah, there's a whole bunch of pages now with just no styling, no user feedback on what's going on. And so there's plenty of little bits and pieces. If you're new to open source, new to contributing, this is an awesome way to get started in a super low risk environment where we're going to be very, very friendly. So yeah. I recommend any kind of contribution, either super, super small, like just changing one line, all the way through to styling out one of those pages. Would highly recommend you get involved and help us out. So
Nice.
it looks a little bit nicer than our Happy Chat application.
I think there's one last question before you start going through all the things.
Before I jump into the ads. Hey, Jon, how would you go about syncing up your Stripe product quantities with your database? For example, I want to tell the user if some product is sold out. Yeah, that's an interesting one.
I've got a good answer.
Okay. All right.
Well, just because
Alaister,
it's a shout out to one of the other things, one of our other projects, which is lesser well known, but I think one of the cool ones. And if you go to GitHub /Supabase/Stripe sync engine or something like that. I don't know if you've ever looked at this, Jon and Tyler, but it's basically
I know the repo.
Yeah,
I haven't taken a look at it.
It's basically a little server that listens to Stripe's webhooks and automatically syncs everything up into your own Postgres database. You're gonna have to get rid of GitHub from the start of it.
What am I doing here? All right, let's start from
interesting
Supabase.
way of getting there.
I'd say it's late for me, but it's not that late. It's just getting too close to lunchtime. I'm just going to type the word sync. Stripe sync engine. I swear that's what I wrote in.
You wrote it with spaces.
Awesome. So sorry, what does this one do?
So it syncs Stripe into your Postgres database, and continuously, as it says there in the header. And it's actually what we use in the Supabase dashboard billing to keep everything synced up nicely. So it's
awesome.
It's an awesome project. It works well.
Yeah.
It says experimental because it is, but we are using it.
That is so cool. Right. Okay. So we'll probably use this. If you weren't using Supabase, like if you just needed to talk to Stripe, my answer was just going to be that if we're setting up that Stripe JS library to create customers and to process transactions and things like that, to process payments, you can query the Stripe dashboard directly. So I would say if you're loading like your products page in your loader, you would go off to Stripe and get the current quantity for whatever that product is, and then you display it, and then you probably do another check when you're trying to process a payment for it that someone else hasn't come and bought one of those products in the meantime. But this is amazing. So you can just synchronize your it's not even
all of Stripe. It's literally like everything in there, your subscriptions, your users, customers, does it all.
That's so cool. Do we even need to be doing what we're currently doing with Edge Functions?
Well, I was going to say that as well.
This is more of a I don't know if you want to call it a heavy-handed or enterprise solution, because you have to run another server. So for our simple use case where we're just doing a couple of things and we can just have Edge functions that scale with us, and we don't pay for when they're not running, I think it's much
good call.
Yeah.
And also I guess the point of these streams is not to create these enterprise things at the end. It's to kind of educate people about these different options that you have with Supabase. And so, I think this is a really what we're stepping through is a better example of how you would use function hooks or triggers or Postgres functions, all of those different things, all those little tools that you have access to, how you would use them in any application. Like if you were trying to, if you were using a different payment platform, for example, that wasn't Stripe, then all of a sudden you wouldn't have access to this repo. So yeah, but that is, yeah, very, very cool. All right. I think that's it for our awesome code example for the week. Thank you so much for joining us for another week. It's been awesome fun. If you have enjoyed yourself, I recommend that you go over to the Supabase YouTube. So it's youtube.com/c/Supabase. Click that subscribe, click that little notification bell, and you'll get notified when we're going live with these streams. But just so you know, we will be going live with these streams every single... It's different for every time zone, but we're going to say if you know how to convert your time zone into ET or PT, we go live every Thursday evening. I think it's 6 p.m. ET. Oh, it's right here. Oh, can I read it? It's 5 p.m. PT, 8 p.m. ET every Thursday.
Nice.
So yeah, but if you want to get notified about all of the other cool things we're doing, every time Andrew or Tyler put together one of these awesome Postgres tips videos or anything else that we're doing, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Give us a follow on Twitter at twitter.com/Supabase. Head on over to discord.supabase.com to join our Discord. And we have 7,755 members. Currently, we have 1,027 online. We need to post in the Discord when we go live. Let's get those 1,027 people live here with us, building out a SaaS app. But yes, this is an awesome Discord where you can come and chat to people about all the cool things with Supabase. Yeah, so lots of interesting discussions going on there. And if you want to follow us, you can go to twitter.com/dshukert for Tyler. You can go to Alaister Young for Alaister, or Jon Meyers _IO for me. Thank you so much for joining us for another week. This has been awesome. And again, we won't see you next week because we will all be either on leave or in another country enjoying ourselves. But we'll be here the following week and every other Thursday. Thanks for joining us. I'm John. Have a good week. Have a good fortnight. I keep saying week.
Hey, yeah, have a good one, everyone. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, enjoy. And thanks for joining. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.